I'm Heidi Ivany in for Colette Linden, and this is News at Night.
I'm Craig Huckerby. Wyerton Willie said an early spring, but we have some nasty winter weather heading our way. I'll break it down in just a couple of minutes.
A section of Wallace Terrace was closed for a short period of time late this morning at Cora Road. A two-vehicle collision caused emergency vehicles to block traffic in both directions while cleanup occurred. There is no word on injuries or cause at this time. Stay with On TV for updates if they become available. Sudbury Mayor wants to see OPP checkpoints to discourage travelers coming north. In the wake of recent COVID-19 deaths in Greater Sudbury and concern about the threat of virus variants, the city's mayor says he's going to ask the province to set up highway checkpoints. Brian Bigger says he wants to see casual travel stop immediately and is asking residents to discourage anyone coming north. The idea of a northern bubble has been discussed before, with the idea of checkpoints set up by provincial police monitoring travel. Quebec implemented such checkpoints as far back as October to stem traffic between regions. Bigger will be reaching out to the province again this week to request an action plan that will either stop or stem the traffic flow up Highway 69 unless absolutely necessary and expedite the flow of vaccines. The vast majority of Canadians support tighter restrictions on international travel imposed by the federal government, a new poll suggests. 86% of respondents agree with stricter measures that suspend flights to most sun destinations and require quarantining at a hotel at the passenger's expense upon arrival in Canada, according to an online survey by Ledger and the Association for Canadian Studies. The poll also found that 87% of respondents think the government should go further by banning international travel until there are several consecutive days of reduced COVID-19 numbers. Numbers sent from the City of Sault Ste. Marie to Tulloch Engineering Inc. to justify the movement of the transit terminals don't tell the full story. The numbers used to count the traffic movement at the corner of Huron Street and Queen Street were done in September 20th, 2017, when Bay Street was 4 lanes wide. The numbers used to count the traffic at the corner of Huron and Bay Street West were completed in the middle of a pandemic on Friday, November 27th, 2020. These numbers don't reflect what traffic would be with a fully functioning international bridge, which saw over 1.3 million vehicles use it in 2019. Those vehicles will now be forced to negotiate the 2-lane Bay Street when the borders reopen. The report, dated January 7, 2021, states that the city provided traffic turning movement counts at the intersections of Huron Street and Queen Street West and Bay Street and Huron Street. These are considered to reflect existing conditions. Tulloch notes that there is effectively 4 separate intersections within 30 meters of the proposed south entrance. They proposed a solution. They note that they understand the current reasoning for leaving the intersection the way it is. However, projected the costs of converting the intersection have yet to be mentioned by the city. Another reason given is the safety of passengers and staff at the current location. If you read any of the multiple social media pages which help mark crime in our city, moving the station west most likely will not help alleviate that concern. The other issue, which has had little discussion by the city, is the hub trail. The link from the waterfront to the rest of the network currently runs directly through the Huron and Bay corridor. The Ontario government is launching an online consultation to seek input on the province's plan to introduce a digital ID by the end of 2021. Through the Digital ID program, people and businesses in Ontario will be able to securely and conveniently prove their identity online. This will save people time and money and offer more convenient access to government and private sector services. We want to assure people that a digital ID will not only offer simpler and easier access to services, but it will be safe and secure, encrypted, and harnessing the latest technology to protect your information and credentials, said Peter Bethlenfalvy, President of the Treasury Board, Minister of Finance, and Minister responsible for digital and data transformation. As we develop this initiative, we want to hear directly from the people to ensure their priorities are reflected in this innovative digital approach. No one has a monopoly on good ideas, and we are prepared to listen. Launching today, the consultation will be open from February 2nd to February 26, 2021, via online surveys for the public and small to medium-sized enterprises, as well as virtual focus groups for these small to medium enterprises. Participants will have the opportunity to help shape the government's approach to introducing a digital ID while voicing their top priorities and concerns. Strong encryption and privacy-protecting technology will be at the core of a digital ID to ensure personal information such as name, birth date, or address remains secure. This initiative will make Ontario one of the leading digital jurisdictions in the world. A digital ID would also support COVID-19 safety protocols by limiting unnecessary in-person contact to help stop the spread of the virus. Ontarians will be able to combat ID fraud and protect their data more effectively with a digital ID. By using this innovative technology, users will be in full control of what identity information is shared and with whom. For those persons who choose not to have a digital ID, they will still be able to prove their identity and access services with their physical documents.
Hi again, everyone. Well, a pretty nice day today. We see the temperatures starting to warm up a little bit. Plenty of sun in the forecast, clear skies tonight. And then we start worrying about the weekend. I'll give you an update on that big system coming up right after this.
Drop by one of our 3 Sault Ste. Marie locations. You do life, we do taxes.
Well, groundhogs. Today we are going to see a early spring. Well, I don't know about that. We'll take a look at our temperatures for tonight. Temperatures are pretty much exactly like last night, minus 14. Light winds, going to feel more like minus 20 if you're walking around during the overnight. But just a few clouds and nothing really substantial to worry about. We'll take a look at the overnight temperatures for the area. And again, we're basically where we should be. Minus 11 in Mackinac, minus 14 here in the Sault. Minus 17 is Wawa, and that's the cold spot. And again, that's where they should be. So this is the satellite. We'll show you what's going on. We have, say, tonight, tomorrow, and even part of Thursday looking pretty nice as we have high pressure in the area. Nothing to worry about. This is that system coming in. It's getting itself organized, and it is going to hit sometime Thursday night into Friday morning. We'll take a look at the systems map for Thursday. This is at Thursday at 1 o'clock. So again, Thursday not looking all that bad. We're under a southerly flow, so we could see our temperatures actually boost up to +2 for Thursday, and those temperatures will stay that way for Thursday night into Friday morning. But if we advance this map now to Friday at 1 o'clock, again, this is still staying the same story. This is a very deep low pressure system, lots of activity around it, very strong winds. We're going to be, when this low moves northeast, we're going to be in that sector of very strong winds, and that could almost give us blizzard conditions for Friday evening and Friday night. So be mindful of that as this system moves in. Of course, we will keep an eye on it over the next 48 hours to see just if it's going to hold together. But this is the forecast for the next 3 days. For Wednesday, sun, nothing but sun, temperatures -2, but we could actually see freezing mark for Wednesday. For Thursday, again, we're going to start seeing some snow and some cloud build in Thursday afternoon, Thursday evening. Temperatures still fairly warm at 0 to +2, and temperatures are still holding steady at -1 for Friday, but we should be seeing substantial snow Friday morning. And for the rest of the weekend, again, we're going to hold on to the snow for Saturday and Sunday because that's when the lake effect machine starts, and temperatures on their way down as we see some very cold air come in for the weekend, and that's going to last right into next week. Temperatures well above or well below seasonal for next week, And the long-range trend for February right now is cold and snowy. So we could definitely be seeing our winter all within the next 30 days. That is your weather right now. Jacob Moore is standing by with sports right after.
Drop by one of our 3 Sault Ste. Marie locations. You do life, we do taxes.
Welcome back to News at Night. I'm Jacob with Sports. Former Mets manager Mickey Callaway has been accused of making lewd comments to 5 different women while he was a part of 3 teams. These women told The Athletic that sometimes he was asking for nudes, sometimes he was just making rude comments. Callaway has also stated to The Athletic that he doesn't want to really make a full comment until his side of the story has been told. The MLB has been yet to make a comment on this matter. Let's jump over to the Super Bowl. We all know it's Super Bowl weekend, and there's going to be 25,000 tickets sold for this game. Out of those 25,000 tickets, 7,500 are going to be for frontline workers. I think that's great to see because it shows, look, we're saying thank you to these frontline workers who have been vaccinated for going above and beyond and keeping the community safe. There's also going to be 30,000 cardboard cutouts at the game, which is going to seem a little strange. Now, if you're looking to get a ticket in this one, for one ticket, it's $6,500 US. So I don't think, well, for one thing, we're in Canada, we can't even cross the border, but I don't think you're going to see as many of the super fans going to this game because it's going to be a lot more expensive than usual. Columbus head coach John Tortorella is excited to announce that Patrick Laine will be making his first start as a Columbus Blue Jacket. Laine comes into the Columbus Blue Jackets lineup looking to add a lot more scoring. He's only played 1 game this year, but in the 1 game he did have 2 goals, 1 assist, and out of those 2 goals he got the overtime winner. Laine's excited for the fresh start, although I think it's going to feel weird for him. This will be his first time he's ever played in the NHL and not for the Winnipeg Jets. Looks like DeAngelo will not play another game with the New York Rangers. The New York Rangers placed DeAngelo on waivers and no NHL team picked him up, which means he goes down to their taxi squad. However, the Rangers have made a statement saying DeAngelo will not see the ice again as a New York Ranger. This all started back at the beginning of the season during their home opener when DeAngelo and the coach got into a fight after he was benched for the rest of the game due to a bad penalty call. After that, he was scratched the next game, was brought back, but you could tell there was tension for the rest of the season so far. He had a huge argument at the end of their last game against the Pittsburgh Penguins, where him and Georgiev, the Rangers' backup goalie, had a bit of a miscommunication on the ice, and it turned out to be the game-winning goal. They had a huge fight on the ice and after the game in the locker room. That was the last straw for the Rangers, as the general manager has told us today. He will be traded at some point. It's looking like it's going to have to go some salary on the Rangers cap to get DeAngelo out, as he's 2 years, $9.5 million on his contract. Nathan MacKinnon has been listed day to day with an upper body injury. Nathan MacKinnon suffered this upper body injury last night in his game, and he had to leave the game early. We're all hoping and fingers crossed Nathan MacKinnon's injury doesn't last much more than a couple weeks, as he is a superstar for the Avalanche and the NHL itself. Over to some more positive news though. Shea Weber got to play his 1,000th career game last night in the 6-2 victory over Vancouver. Shea Weber was able to put in an assist in the 6-2 win, which was great to see. The Montreal Canadiens looked very strong, outshot Vancouver, great puck possession, and they really looked all season like a Stanley Cup contender. Vancouver was a surprise for me. After winning their last 4 straight, they started to look on topic, and then they just lost the memo. They were really outplayed out there. They looked very lost. The top line wasn't producing. Their bottom 6 wasn't producing. Vancouver's really going to be looking to turn that around and try to think of the positives after their 4-game winning streak. I'd like to end the sports segment today with some more positive news about your Sioux Greyhounds. I know that we haven't had any OHL hockey, but I think the Greyhounds want to show that they're still thinking of the community. The Hounds have started a program presented by Bell, which is going to help interact with kids in the community, where there's going to be these worksheets over the next 9 weeks learning math, English, spelling, grammar. And it's going to be a fun way for these kids to learn. And I think it's important too for the Greyhounds to still show that they are part of this community. We still haven't had an OHL game this season, and we still haven't heard if or when we're even going to have one. We know there'll be no contact in the OHL, but that's about it. But that's it for sports. We'll have more news coming up right after this.
Drop by one of our 3 Sault Ste. Marie locations. You do life, we do taxes.
In the early evening hours on January 29th, a woman lost her battle with drugs in the 100 block of James Street. Some inside the addiction community who work hand in hand with those struggling with drug addiction say Miranda, 40, may have been the target of a hotshot. She also could have just been the victim of drug poisoning, as was described by Algoma Public Health over the weekend. A hotshot is a term used by those in the drug addiction community to describe an intentionally lethal dose of a drug that is introduced into the body. Algoma Public Health over the weekend issued a warning alongside Sault Ste. Marie Paramedic Services about an uptick in drug-related calls. Opioid poisoning occurs when a person uses more of a substance or a combination of substances than their body can handle. Opioid poisonings can be fatal. No matter what happened Friday night above the former Al's Pub, one thing is for certain: a 40-year-old mother of 6 and grandmother of 3 left behind a family devastated and torn, with a lot of unanswered questions. On February 1st, 2021, officers with patrol services charged 28-year-old Robert Graham with assault causing bodily harm. At 3:55 p.m., officers responded to a call of an unwanted person in the 100 block of Wellington Street West. When officers asked the accused to leave the area, he became confrontational and began assaulting officers. Conducted energy weapons were deployed and officers were able to gain control of the accused. He is charged with 2 counts of assault causing bodily harm, aggravated assault, 4 counts of resisting arrest, and 2 counts of disarming a peace officer. He was held for bail court. On January 30th, 2021, officers with patrol services charged 45-year-old Darren Niccioli with impaired driving, alcohol, and drugs. At 7:08 p.m., officers responded to a call of a 2-vehicle collision on South Market Street. Upon arrival, officers spoke with the accused and developed grounds to believe his ability to operate a motor vehicle was impaired by drugs. He was arrested and later completed a drug recognition evaluation in which he performed poorly. He is charged with impaired driving, alcohol, and drugs, and 2 counts of breach of recognizance. He is scheduled to appear in court on March 15th, 2021. The Algoma Public Health is reporting 2 new confirmed cases of COVID-19 yesterday, one from Elliott Lake and area, and the other is from Central and East Algoma. Both were tested on January 29th. As of yesterday, 85,844 tests have been administered. A total of 167 cases have been positive, with 19 active cases. 148 cases have been resolved, with 1 in the hospital and 2 deaths. The Canadian Centre for Policy Alternatives says between federal and provincial spending, there has been $374 billion in direct spending on pandemic relief. They break it down as 92% of every dollar came from the federal government, with the rest coming from provinces as of December 31st, 2020. In the province of Ontario, the report states that about $9,800 will be spent per person on some form of relief, whether it be business or personal. The current contingency fund the provincial government has of funds given to it versus funds spent is about $6.4 billion. Newfoundland and Labrador, Prince Edward Island, Quebec, Saskatchewan, and Alberta are also sitting on unallocated funds. So Craig, you've said that the rodent has indicated an early spring.
Wyerton Worley this morning saw his shadow, and that means, oh no, he didn't see his shadow. That means an early spring, but after this weekend, you're not going to feel like it's an early spring. In fact, the new data shows February being colder than usual and a lot more snowy. So do the math on that one.
This has been News at Night. I'm Heidi Ivany in for Colette Linden. Stay tuned for more news shortly.